Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh, hello there. I'm in my normal morning panic trying to take too much stuff in too short a time, but that's my doing for not getting up earlier, I guess. Hi, how you doing? It's Tuesday. It's the 26th of February. And my sister's joining us from St. Louis. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not bad. Well, did you watch the Oscars?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and?
I mean, most of it. I have to admit that I walk in and out of the room. I think that he's getting bad. I don't agree with the bad reviews. I think, the show is a lumbering elephant. It is what it is. I found him, amusing enough. I didn't know he could sing like that. I thought the show was sort of cute.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll stop talking about that now.
Why? What did you think?
I didn't like it.
Why didn't you like it?
First of all, it is a clunker of a show. I don't think there's any way anyone can do it, unless next year Amy Poehler and Tina Fey prove that wrong. I thought the opening thing that lasted almost a half hour was ridiculous. I mean, there were nice little elements in it. It's nice to see that those actors can sing and dance, and that he can sing and has a lovely voice, and he can dance, and he blah, 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 blah. But I thought his humor was mostly pretty damn lame, and in one instance, so disgusting that
the Lincoln reference was awful.
Yeah. I mean, right there. Sorry, lost me. I mean, shows a total inability. In a way, I think it's emblematic of the where civility has gone in our culture, and that there's no sense that some things literally are off limits, that we just,
not funny.
I'm sorry, not funny. And so even his follow-up, 150 years it's been and you still can't.
Too soon, right.
Yeah, still too soon. Oh, yeah, buddy, still too soon.
Yeah, it is.
So, this was supposed to be the triumph of this new kind of humor that passes for humor, this adolescent male humor that people... And, I sometimes laugh at a lot of it myself, because when my son is home, he watches all that. I mean, I've seen almost every episode of Family Guy, and it's funny. It's also disgusting often, and horribly. There's times when you gasp, But... he has to realize, he didn't realize that. I mean, he has an audience of 1 billion people, and they ain't all adolescent males.
Right.
And I think he needed to tone it down. I don't know. I just thought it was dull, and all of this stuff that you don't care about, and I don't know. It went on forever, I thought. I tweeted at one point, I think at midnight, please God in heaven, make this stop.
Well, you see, at least I'm in a different time zone, so
that's true.
It's just only at just after 11.
Right. It was whatever.
That makes a difference.
And I'm still the only person who thought, what's her name? Bassie.
She sounded terrible.
That I thought everybody's raving about her.
No, she sounded terrible.
Well, the first note out of her mouth was off.
Sour.
I cringed. I thought, oh,
no. She didn't find her way to the right note until about the fifth bar.
Well, yeah, she started off like so off, and then she did get better as it went on, got more control of her voice. But so why? I mean, what? So then I feel like I'm back in the Emperor Wears No Clothes story, where everybody, I mean, even respected critics, raving about her. I haven't seen one negative, not one. If there is one out there, let me know. And I feel so very alone.
Your sister feels the same way, and and although I think that she's absolutely beautiful to look at, I did not know what that Chicago thing was doing in there.
Well, they were celebrating movie musicals.
Why?
Because that was sort of the theme, Susan.
Oh.
That's what all the singing and dancing was about. You didn't get that?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
But somebody else pointed out, well, if you were going to celebrate music in movies, I mean, the current stuff is nowhere near as good as, I mean, then you should go back to, South Pacific and and the really good ones. But I suppose that's not true either. I mean,
right.
You live at the time you live in. Whatever.
Right.
Okay. Here's a few good lines written by Anthony Lane in The New Yorker. I thought nailed it. Did you see Jack Nicholson?
Yes.
And the First Lady? Okay, so here's what he says. Jack Nicholson ambled on to hand out the top laurel on legs that seemed so much shorter and stumpier than ever before that his late period could yet include a searing new biopic of Toulouse-Lautrec.
And he did seem fake. Did you understand the first, 20 words he said?
I don't know. He looked like a caricature of himself, and he looks like, he just looks like a short, now squat, fat, dirty old man who's fun to be around. That's what he seems like to me. I think I understood what he was saying. But so
what does this guy say?
Well, that's what he said. That's all he said. I thought that was funny.
Well, you saw the interview with Jennifer, what's her name, and when he came up and
no.
Oh God, you have to. It is everywhere. I mean, the best actress winner,
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence is being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos after the award show, and in the background is lurking Jack Nicholson, who then crashes the interview to tell Jennifer Lawrence how much he admires her, and her eyes are like popping out of her head, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm crashing," and she looks at George Stephanopoulos. She said, "Oh my God," she said, "have you never met her?" And never met him, and she went, "Oh no!" And then he says in the back, he says, "You remind me of one of my old girlfriends."
Oh no!
And she says, "Do I remind you of one now?" And then she says to George Stephanopoulos, "God, is he gone yet?" It was
really?
very funny.
Is that okay?
She was thrilled and creeped out all at the same time. It was very funny.
Oh, God. Well,
she's a funny girl, by the way.
Don't call her a girl.
No, she's a funny 22-year-old woman. I'm sorry, to me, she's younger than my youngest daughter. She's a girl.
No, she's not a girl.
Oh, she's a woman.
We fought long and hard.
She's a funny woman.
Not to be called girl, so, once you hit 21, no, it's not a girl anymore. A young woman. So anyway, this guy's such a good writer. Now that the feathers from Amy Adams' dress have been swept away, like the last traces of a shot dove. Now that Jane Fonda's bright yellow outfit has silently melted, having been sculpted according to expert witnesses from nothing more lasting than butter in the first place. A lot of these preserved older women freak me out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to try and figure out who they were. It took me a good like, I'd say minute and a half to figure out that Renee Zellweger was Renee Zellweger. Her
Really?
face doesn't look like her face anymore.
Well, I didn't see her.
And she seems fairly young.
Yeah, she is.
And,
she is young.
for to be rendered unrecognizable.
Well, but I mean, see...
and Jane's sort of the same. Everything on her face has been smoothed into looking like any other woman of her age.
Not really. I mean, it still looks like Jane Fonda. But unnaturally, it does look like they've been embalmed.
Yes, it does.
And there's something creepy about it. Barbara Streisand looked exactly like she looked 50 years ago. She's got to be pushing 70.
Yes, it's vaguely inappropriate.
It doesn't...
I think it's actually one of the things that makes Catherine Zeta-Jones look so pretty. When you look at close-ups of her, she's got wrinkles around her eyes. She seems, if she is, whatever she's doing, she's preserving, if she's doing anything, she might not be. And it looks better. It just looks better to look at least vaguely your own age. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. Oh,
unnatural bodies, I mean, these anorexic women with these huge breasts hanging off them. Like, oh, yeah, that's possible.
It is weird. Oh, who did I see that freaked me out? Amanda Seyfried? Is that her name? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Her head in no way fit on that body.
On her teeny little body?
It was frightening.
It's grotesque in some cases.
I don't even know how she managed to hold the head up. Because it's like, yeah, the horrifying skinniness of these people, and we're supposed to think that that's the norm? I don't know. No wonder we're all getting fat, just in pure cussedness. Marge writes, oh, good, you're still discussing the Oscars. I had to record the Oscars so I could watch the Pens game. Ha! Way to go. While watching, I fast-forwarded when De Niro and Tommy Lee Jones lost. That was a shocker. That was the only one that shocked me because I really thought Tommy Lee Jones had it nailed, but if De Niro had won, I would have been very upset. Anyway, the only time I laughed at the host was when he did the bit with Sally Field and they took off in the Trans Am. See, I didn't laugh at that at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting to be an old grouch.
You're just an old grouch.
I wonder if Michelle Obama thought Lincoln would win Best Picture and that's why they had her present. No. But I think they must have been pretty certain that Zero Dark 30 wouldn't win, because that would be odd for the First Lady to be giving an Academy Award for a movie that some say glorified the torture of detainees. Marge says, worst Oscars ever. Nah, it's every year it's the worst Oscars ever.
They're all,
You forget the one. You forget the one. You remember Rob Lowe and the dancing, oh my God, this is millions of years ago. Rob Lowe opening it with a dancing number with Snow White, and it was so horrible that
I really think the Franco one was the...
Yes.
And James Franco. He really did appear to be laid back to the point of coma.
Okay, speaking of laid back to the point of coma, how about one of the presenters who strikes me as, first of all, I think she's awful looking. I don't get that she's a good actress. And she was a presenter, and she looked pissed off that she was there, and she read the lines.
Oh, Kristen
Stewart. Yes. And she
looks like all those girls I was afraid of at East High.
In high school, that's right. She looks like she'd knife you in the alley.
I turned to Eric and I said, she's what we used to call...
Skags.
She looks just like what we used to call a skag.
A skag. I know, that's right. She looks like a skag. Her hair
I don't get her. I mean, she just looks like she stinks.
Yeah, I agree. She looks like she stinks. She looks like she'd kill you. She looks surly. She looks, I mean, every negative. And how did this person get to be, like, considered what? Is she considered beautiful?
Well, you know, she's breaking up marriages.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. And she delivered her lines like, and so the nominee for the and I thought, Jesus, God, get that surly adolescent off. Okay, we're done.
No, I want to say two other things. I think Charlize Theron is
gorgeous.
Absolutely
gorgeous.
So drop dead gorgeous.
I agree.
Okay, we'll leave that. And
okay.
I'm so tired of Anne Hathaway, but mostly I was just amazed by the darts on that dress, and that she chose to wear that necklace. I couldn't believe. The one thing she always does right is the way she looks. She looked like such crap.
Do you think so? I don't.
Oh, I thought she looked terrible.
Well, I thought the dress looked like a nightgown, but you didn't like the darts, which accentuated her nipples?
No, I don't think I don't think her nipples were anywhere around there.
Oh, yes, they weren't?
No, I think you were looking at the darts.
Oh, the darts. I got misled by the darts.
Yeah.
Well, what is this hatred of Anne Hathaway? Everybody, there seems to be such strong reaction to her. What is that about?
I don't know. She just begins to get on my nerves after a while.
See? But nobody can ever explain why. I've heard this kind of thing before, and I don't share it, but I just don't understand it. And people were saying her speech was, phony and I don't.
No, I didn't feel that way about it.
And here we bring up this thing, Twitter. Now, you're not a Twitter nut, but...
No.
Okay.
Thank God, because it saves me from reading some apparently awful stuff.
Oh, yes. So here's the new reality for a lot of people. Any event like this, the Oscars, you don't just watch them. You watch them while watching your Twitter feed. And by... perhaps being part of it. So your initial reactions to things, if you bang, 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 you throw them out. So literally every square inch of the Oscars was being ripped apart in real time by millions of people. And their way of enjoying the Oscars was to be part of that constant chorus. And it's a pretty snarky one. There's some people who are funny, and there's some people, but, the darts would have been, everything we've mentioned would have been mentioned in real time, and then things go, and you end up missing the thing that they do it during the presidential debates. They do it during the State of the Union address. So I think a lot of people now, the way that they take in any kind of large communal event is to do it through Twitter, where the event becomes sort of secondary. It's just fodder for the Twitter feed.
Right. I'm old-fashioned. I watch it, then I react.
Yeah, but I think this means something. I think it means something, and I suspect it's not something good.
Well, you don't know. It just might be something different,
Yeah, but sometimes different comes with
different is not always better. I agree, but get used to it. Hold on. I engage every fourth permutation. It saves me trouble.
Well, yeah, but you don't know if you're engaging the right ones. And the fact is there's these different universes in which things are. I don't know. I don't know.
I have a Twitter account. I just don't do it. I look every once in a while.
But if you get into it, you're doing, for something like this, you would, and I did. I checked my Twitter. I said, I should check what Twitter's saying about this, because I was finding myself being so critical of so many things. And of course, the minute I got on Twitter, it was like just, one thing after another, some of which made me laugh because it was sharing my reaction, others which shocked me or I didn't get. But all of a sudden I realized, hey, you're not even watching anymore.
Right.
You're watching Twitter. You're doing it, you've removed yourself and in a secondary way. And then finally, I finally did a tweet, as I said earlier, at about midnight, because I just couldn't take anymore. I mean, dear God in heaven, please make this end. I don't know. It's odd. If this is the way we're... The change in how one watches a State of the Union address or the Academy Awards is so different than it was just 10 years ago. And in 5 years, who knows what it'll be? I don't know. I was talking to a woman who's brilliant yesterday. She's a doctor and a family doctor. And she said that the most important thing you can teach your child, the most important thing, is resilience, because especially in the world we're heading into, we have got to be able to change constantly. And when we hit something that's unfamiliar or is different, you can't be freaked. You've got to just jump in. Resilience, and it's true when you think of the world.
Right.
You have got to be able to change. And so people who proudly say, I don't own a computer and I don't have a cell phone and I'm not going to, I'm thinking, okay, but the world moves on. It
right,
does.
You disengage from the world.
You do, you're disengaging. You're saying, no, I stop in 2000, 10.
Right.
And I don't move. That's it for me. I'm done. Now, that's a choice. You can do it. But in some of the people who are saying this, they got 20, 30 years left in their lives. I think it's too early to disengage.
Well,
everyone has their own whatever they want.
You have to. Well, if you want to live a long, enriched life, you better not disengage because your brain will go out on you. You'll lose the capacity too.
Caller?
Hey, Lynn.
Hi. Wait, I just have to before you start.
Yeah.
Susan just said something I didn't understand. You'll lose what?
If you stop changing, you lose the capacity to change.
Yeah, but I thought you said you'll lose. I thought you said something like 0273. I thought you said something weird. You didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's been corrected. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn. George from Moon.
Oh, George. Hi. How you doing?
Hi. Yeah. Hey, I've been watching and listening to you the last couple of days about moaning and groaning about the Oscars, and I really have to put in my 2 cents here. You're viewing this thing completely in the wrong way. Let me get my opinion out here. I used to watch the Oscars, too, as a young person, interested in the movies and everything like that. But, you mature and you move on, and you begin to realize what that really is. The way I view the Oscars is, it's an infomercial. Ever since World War II, and especially in the 50s, it changed from being a trade organization that had, that gave awards to its own, like any other trade organization, like the engineers and the writers and the journalists and everything. And then it became a self-promoting thing that promoted and marketed itself and has done very well. So what they've created is you're wrapped up for 4 hours watching an infomercial about an industry that months before it's on the air, and a month afterwards, everybody's talking about it, and then everybody, good little trained consumers that we all are, rush to the movie theater to see the movie so we can talk about it even more.
But we like the movies.
Oh, yeah, we love the movies, and that's where they got you hooked.
Well, also...
I really don't understand why they call it Tinseltown. You know, it's not exactly right on in describing what that is. It's really fantasy land is what it should be called.
Well, that's what the tinsel is. Tinsel is
yeah,
sparkly.
But it should be more, I think, more to the point, because remember, underneath all this is not just movies. It's all of media is there. Fashion is there. Cosmetics is there. Plastic surgery is there. And it all wraps itself up and sells itself, and that's why I call it an infomercial.
Okay,
and
but let me just say
I don't like infomercials, but as consumers, we're like trained Pavlovian dogs now.
Okay, but wait. It's an infomercial, and it's a badly done infomercial.
Yes, that's
because
now you're getting to the point. Now you're getting there.
Okay,
now think about that. Think about that.
I am,
It's a poor infomercial.
Wait, but let me tell you
you
why.
like the movies and you like the product, but they're browbeating you to death with trying to make it a variety show, and it's not.
That's correct. Listen,
right?
The reason it's a bad infomercial, though, is because it is still a trade organization having its annual award ceremony.
Yes,
and
right, exactly. Remember when you said you were bored when they dragged out the board of directors and everything? Of course you are. If you went to an engineers organization, you'd say, "Who are these old fart engineers that they're putting on stage? I'm not interested in that. I want to see the personalities in the movies."
Yeah, but you get it.
But
you know,
that's what it is. It's a trade organization promoting the hell out of itself.
I agree.
To the nth degree that it's irritating as hell.
I agree, but I think
but
it's...
Can I point one thing out?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Susan.
When the man that won the special effects award was drowned out by that music because he was trying to point out that they were sending all of their jobs away, and there was in fact a demonstration going on outside that building. They cut him.
Yes.
Only their trade organization.
Yeah, when I watched the program over the years, because I was in the technology world too, I feel for the actual artists and technicians that are in the movie industry, because it's a team effort. It's cinematographers, sound guys, engineers, it's special effects artists.
But
it's
that's
a
what the
teamwork of highly
infomercial
trained
tells you.
technologists. It's a trade organization that doesn't get its due as to recognition for the fantastic stuff they do. I mean, this is a premier industry out of America, is the Hollywood movie industry, made up of superior artists and technologists. But they don't get the recognition. It's all around the personalities that they give these phony goddamn Oscars
cry
to.
me a river. Hey, we live in a culture in which glitz is it. So, of course, we want to see the movie stars.
I know. It's fantasy land.
All right, that's it. And
that's
we're
my
attracted
point of view.
Okay,
Thanks, dear.
I think we should be talking about the current events and the more important news of the day, like who the new cast of Dancing with the Stars is.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Who is?
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
Well, it's...
so you say that and you don't know.
Dorothy Hamill. NFL star Jacoby Jones.
Wait. We've got a caller. Okay. Go ahead. Hi.
Hi, guys. This is PJ from Greensburg.
Hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back to the previous, before that call, about the technology, staying up with technology, staying up with change. I think there's a very, very important difference that needs to be noted. I somewhat tongue-in-cheek call myself a conscientious objector to everything.
Okay.
There's a difference between keeping your mind fresh, accepting change, seeing new things, trying new things, and getting caught up in just vapid trends.
True.
And that is what a lot of Twitter and all of those other things are. They are just things that are going to come. And nothing aggravates me more than seeing a middle-aged person that is just tragically hip because they want to glom on to all of these things and make them seem like they're so important when in fact, if they would just take a step back and not remove themselves from what's going on, but remove it so they could see the forest, not miss the forest through the trees. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm
well, good. I guess I got my point across. But it's just there are ways to keep your mind fresh. There are ways to see the new things and accept the new things without getting caught up in all of that nonsense. I don't want to read Twitters.
Well,
how many of those Twitters that you are forced to read make a significant point?
Do you know what I use Twitter for? News. Because if anything happens, they've got it first. It's somebody's got it, and they throw it up there. So I'm always checking Twitter, and if I hear my phone's getting a lot of tweets, I'll think something's happened. And invariably, that's the case. So
you get that first bit of information, you learn something new, you get that good, and then you have 50, 100 Twitters that follow that are people's just little comments that really...
Well, it depends on who you follow. You only get tweets from people you want to get tweets from. So what I do is mostly follow news things. So I'm getting news all the time from it.
And it's from, well, that's good. Then that's the selectivity of it. It's not just, then it's good because you're using it for a tool rather than it using you.
Right.
You getting caught up in it. And just one quick thing about, what's the host of and the Oscars and those guys. And that
McFarlane.
humor you're talking about.
Yes.
I find it's and I do partake in some of it, but less and less because it really sunk in. But it's just crass and mean-spirited mostly.
Yep.
Crass was the word that really came to mind.
Yeah.
But that's just, and it's sad because again it's to this point adults that are getting caught up in it.
It's what's considered now popular culture and the way our humor works. And if it can be characterized as crass and mean-spirited, which I think a lot of people would agree is generally the case, that says something then about us.
Well, and is it because we're at a point where everything is questioned in a bad way?
Yes, and I think part of that is like the constancy of being able to. It's because of things like Twitter. It's because we're able to immediately trade. Everybody's a critic now. Everybody has the ability to get their thoughts immediately out there, and it's not pleasant to see what.
Well, it's definitely not uplifting.
No,
it's some sort of shallow nihilism.
Yeah. Okay,
guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
I got to take a break. Susan.
Yes.
I had a brilliant thought that got lost in all that.
That's what happens.
Well, maybe it'll come back to me. And
okay.
I haven't even I haven't even gotten to testing for steroids in ice fishermen. They're drug testing ice fishermen. You mull that one over for a little while. I'm going to take a break.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Go to BergBargains.com for great deals on meals from your favorite local restaurants, museums, and shows. This week only, get discounts up to 20% on gift cards to P.F. Chang's. Supplies are limited. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay. Hey, speaking of just nothing in particular, Susan, I certainly hope you saw the video of Michelle Obama dancing with Jimmy Fallon.
Absolutely. Hard to miss.
Wasn't that brilliant?
Yes.
Anybody who didn't see that, check it out. It's just so adorable. I can't believe it.
What was cute is that for the most part, she was better than he was at every single one of them.
She was very good. She's a very good dancer. But he's a good dancer. He's
wonderful at everything he does. He's one of those guys that can do it all.
Okay, so listen, I think we have to spend some time noting the passing of C. Everett Koop, the former Surgeon General, because it points out something, that there are jobs and there are people that fill jobs, and there are people who really do something with those jobs. You can't even...
Yeah, he transformed the job into something that the public actually became aware existed.
Well, he took his job really seriously. He was radical, and he surprised absolutely everybody because he was an evangelical Christian appointed by Reagan, loved by conservatives, who then went on to horrify them because his own feelings about what is right or what is wrong, were trumped by his sense of what his job was, which was to see to the people's health. And that meant taking on all his conservative backers. This is a guy who sent to every household in the United States a pamphlet about AIDS and telling Americans how to have safe sex. This is a guy who, and listen to the remark of somebody from the Committee in Defense of Life. Quote, "Here's a guy who looks like an Old Testament prophet who ever would have imagined that he'd end up selling the gospel of sodomy." He appalled people because he took his job so seriously. You can't name the Surgeon General now. I don't have a clue.
They've learned their place again.
They're back in their place. The more I read about him, the more fascinated I've become. He came in when AIDS was just making itself known. You'll recall the terror that we all felt, that we didn't know what this thing was. It seemed to just be killing every gay man in the country. But and consequently, government wasn't dealing with it. Nobody was dealing with it. It had to do with sex, they thought. So that became, nobody was touching it. Nobody would touch it. He touched it, even though the White House and others tried to tell him not to. He stunned everybody. So when he got nominated, he was actually too old. There was some concern that he was too old for the job because he was already way up in his 60s, and I guess there was some kind of requirement that you had to be under a certain age. And the conservatives wanted him so much that, who is that? Jesse Helms. Remember him?
Yeah.
Susan? Jesse Helms, moved heaven and earth to still allow him to be Surgeon General. I think I have that right. And then Jesse Helms, he sponsored legislation that would let him serve despite being over the so-called starting age limit for the post. And liberals didn't want him because he was a fervent anti-abortionist. Koop was. And then he gets in and so appalls people like Jesse Helms, who moved heaven and earth to get him in. As a matter of fact, Jesse Helms, if you'll recall, came from one of the largest tobacco-producing states in the country.
Right.
And
that was
Koop.
The other thing he did.
It was Koop who made, he flat out said right after he was in, the most important public health issue of our time is tobacco. And he went after it. And Helms, can you imagine Helms? So here, He so freaked out the people. He proved to be one of these people who, when he got the office, took its mission to heart and let his religion, his
for the public good, tirelessly. And as such became someone who, remained to this day instantly recognizable.
Well, as somebody characterized that he looked as, he almost always appeared in remember, he always wore the uniform, so he was dressed like a general.
Right.
He almost always appeared in the epauletted and ribboned blue or white uniform, denoting his leadership of the U.S. Public Health Service. And with his mustache-less beard, because that was weird. The hair configuration looked weird. Mm-hmm. He looked like, like a Mennonite patriarch. With his mustache-less beard, deep voice, and grim expression, he looked like a Civil War general. And it's true. He had this sort of mystique and power. And in the course of his tenure, you wonder how America went from this, tobacco, cigarette smoking country where it was everywhere. I mean, you and I know it was everywhere. Think of it. People were smoking on airplanes. People were smoking in the restaurant when you were eating. People were smoking all the time. We thought nothing of it. He's the one, more than any other, who turned it around. And he also was the first to try to see that AIDS, here's how you have to deal with this. You have to talk about condom use. And he was, just pilloried. So I love it when somebody rises to the job, maybe surprises even themselves. I don't know. C. Everett Koop, a hell of a public servant, truly.
Who understood the brief and strived to fill it. He did a good job. Rest in peace.
Yep. He had a long life. He was 6? Old. Good man. C. Everett Koop. Trying to think of other surgeons general. There was the woman, I interviewed her, who got in trouble because she was talking about that it was okay if kids masturbate. What was her name? She got drummed out.
She was right after him. She took it personally, too.
Yeah. Yeah, but she was for a Democratic president, Bill Clinton, who threw her under the bus.
Right.
Threw her out.
He preferred to lie about such things.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I do have to get to the ice fishermen.
Yes.
It's a sport.
Yes.
And they just had their annual World Ice Fishing Championships were held. And people come from all over the world. And it was held in our home state of Wisconsin because we know there's a lot of ice fishermen out there. And they're actually trying, believe it or not, ice fishermen are pursuing an effort to become an Olympic sport. Can you imagine?
No.
Well, curling is bad enough, but come on. And now let's go back to the ice fishing venue.
Well, I still can't believe they threw out wrestling.
Yeah, that is amazing to me, too.
That's a real sport.
That is a sport, and it's historically proper because it was a sport when the Olympics first started.
It's gobsmacking to me. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I agree. So anyway, this was a shocker. So all these guys were, in the World Ice Fishing Championship, and they then went back to the hotel after the fishing was done for the day. I guess they fished for 2 days. Whoever ends up with the most perch and bluegill and crappies wins. And who should be at the hotel but representatives of the United States Anti-Doping Agency? Having just, I guess, finished taking down Lance Armstrong, they were moving on to the ice fishermen in Wausau.
I have a hard time believing that this is a sport rife with steroid stuff.
What advantage would it give you?
None.
Strength has nothing to do with it. Endurance has, I guess, being able to sit in the cold.
You know, if you're deep sea fishing, actually, that's not even true. It's technique and leverage and knowing what you're doing and knowing how to play the
We're
fish.
not talking about wrestling a huge fish in.
Even so, I'm just telling you that I know a woman that's probably 5'2" tall. Her by profession a physician's assistant, and she's a championship deep sea fisherman. And her size, you know, it's about technique more than, I mean, it's not like she isn't strong, but it's not so much about that.
Okay, well, you know, but as it turns out, so they were tested, and it turns out that the anti-doping agency has actually been testing, get this, other fringe sports, miniature golf.
Famous for steroidal
Just wait a minute.
rages.
Listen, 2 miniature golfers tested positive for banned substances in 2011.
Well, that's because they were weightlifters on the side.
I don't know about that. Also, dart players. And there was one positive in a tug-of-war contest somewhere. And also chess players. I've been tested. Okay, so here's the only good news from the ice fishing athletes being tested. This is a quote from the chairperson of the United States Freshwater Fishing Federation. Understand that we do not test for beer because...
That's what I was just going to say.
He said because then everybody would fail.
Right. The only thing that these folks are doing is lots of beer.
They don't test for it. They know beer is part of ice fishing. But, yeah, no, the miniature golf world is reeling from the positive tests of 2 of their own. Unbelievable. I got to take a break. Okay?
Yes, I'm just going to point out that the roid use was clearly not related to the sport.
Which? When?
For miniature golf.
You think?
Yeah, it's not related. I mean, you know, it's probably because they were weightlifters on the side or something.
Oh, like I know a lot of weightlifters who do professional miniature golf. Jeez. Who even knew there was such a thing as professional miniature golf? Well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, yes, we have to take a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual money issue is available now. Pick up one today for a unique look at financial issues in the region. Plus, this week's City Paper includes our inaugural education pullout, Decisions for the Future. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
All right. Henry, you're a killjoy. Henry writes, I know you said that the sequester is not something you want to address on your show, but I would argue this is exactly what we should be talking about right now. I just can't do it. Anyway, he's right. The Republicans argue that the Democrats are exaggerating the impact, but here is one example, and he talks about how, there's not going to be enough meat inspectors. And so meat packers are going to be closing down and are going to be laying people off. And what does that mean in terms of meat getting to the grocery stores and to us? There will be much less of it and consequently skyrocketing prices. Well, listen, Henry, the only way Americans ever get the message is when they feel it personally. So we've got to do this, apparently, before they aren't rallying like the president wants them to. They aren't. But Henry says I'm supposed to rally the troops. He says he's been trying to get to Congressman Tim Murphy's website for 24 hours now, so I guess that's busy. And he's hoping that's a good sign that people are contacting him. And Henry wants me to remind you to voice your opinion with your representative, your senator, www.house.gov. Or you can go to Speaker Boehner's Facebook page if you want, he says, which is facebook.com/Office of Speaker Boehner. You know, if enough people do it, it does make a difference. That's all I'm telling you. Susan, are you still there?
I am.
Okay. And Susan?
I am here.
Here is, we can go back to, you were interrupted.
I don't care about that.
Chuck has sent me the list of the new Dancing with the Stars cast. I think I'm pretty much over Dancing with the Stars, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, we have...
although the list is somewhat interesting.
Okay, boxer Victor Ortiz, actor and comedian D.L. Hughley. Is that how you pronounce it?
Hughley.
Are you sure it's Hughley? It's
I think he pronounces the G, yes.
Baltimore Ravens wide receiver, Jacoby Jones. Boo! Excuse me. Comedian Andy Dick. Actor Ingo Rademacher. Oh, yeah, that's a biggie.
No, well, if you watch General Hospital, he's a handsome heartthrob.
Okay, Olympic gymnast Allie Raisman. Okay, I remember her. Country singer Kelly Pickler. Oh, she's fallen on hard times, huh? And she's paired with Derek Huff. That means they think she might be able to do it. Country legend Winona Judd, who ain't going to last long. Disney Channel stars Zendaya Coleman, and Olympic figure skater Dorothy Hamill, who will play the old lady role this year. They always have to have
Lisa Vanderpump is the old lady.
Lisa Vanderplump?
Pump.
Oh, there it is. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Lisa Vanderpump. All right. So Susan...
More interesting, I think, is the Yahoo chair.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name? Marissa Mayer.
Yes.
Who is ordering everybody who's been working remotely back into the office.
This is a woman who now heads Yahoo.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who work at Yahoo have been happily working from home, part-time or something.
People with children and
whatever.
And
anyway, so, yeah, here's a woman in charge, and she immediately says, no more of this working at home, get in here. And there's all hell's broken loose. So, listen, I remember thinking back in the 70s when women were first being allowed tentatively into these positions of even to get in the door. I remember thinking, oh, wow, won't it be something when I get to work for a woman boss? Because the thought of such a thing was unimaginable. It took a long time before I ever did. I never had a totally female boss, but at some point and you know what? They were no different, the ones I encountered. And sometimes they were more masculine than the man.
Worse.
They were showing that they can be as tough.
They could be tougher and more ruthless than the most tough and ruthless man.
Right, and I think that was the first wave of women who made it. I'm hoping that's not totally the case now, but this woman seems to be doing a little throwback thing. I don't know.
Well, I think, the theory behind what she's saying is that they have to turn the company around, and that when everybody works remotely, people forget how to collaborate, and creativity goes down.
Well, that might be true.
It's sort of interesting. I mean, it is the model if you go into, places like Groupon, etc., that people work in close proximity to each other to foster collaboration and creativity. at the same time, it fails to address all of the perks, that, I don't know. I think it's a step backwards.
My guess is it's a step backwards, too, but I don't know.
The answer is something in between, that you need to be in office at least, X amount of time.
Resilience. Being able to keep your balance, to get things balanced, who the heck knows? Hey, don't you eat those meatballs at IKEA? Did you see that?
First of all, I don't have an IKEA, but second of all, I never got why anybody would want to eat IKEA meatballs.
Why? Have you ever done it?
No, but they make cheap furniture. Why do you want to eat their meatballs?
Because they ain't half bad, Suze.
Okay.
I've eaten their meatballs because when you're shopping in their thing, it takes a long time and you can make a day of it, and they have a wonderful place where you can dump your kids and they'll be played with, and then you can go and have a nice lunch and eat their meatballs. And no.
And are they made with horse meat or what?
Well, let's just say the traces of horse meat have been found.
Rest my case.
Okay. However, they were found in the meat that went to the IKEAs in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Hungary, France, Belgium, Britain, Portugal, Netherlands, Spain, Italy, Greece, Cyprus, and Ireland. And I am sorry, but the meatballs here in the US of A came from a different source, although who knows. So, now back to Twitter, somebody tweeted something I laughed at after this came out, that there were traces of horse meat in the IKEA meatballs. Somebody pointed out, this just in, traces of real wood found in some IKEA furniture. And I want to tell you, though, I had an IKEA couch. It was one of these things that it was 2 seats that pulled out into a bed, and then on each side of the 2 seats were 2 recliners. All of this was attached, and there were like little tables in between. It's the most amazing thing. It was the kind of thing that in a man cave would have. And I bought that thing maybe about 20 years ago. And it was an IKEA thing. I mean, they are sort of flimsy. That thing lasted forever. And it was the most wonderful thing. However, it finally met its end when we discovered that a nest of mice was living in the pull-out bed.
I remember that couch.
I had been sitting on a nest of mice for I don't know how long. They'd taken up residence in the... And when we pulled it out, you could see where, little bloody placentas where the mouse mother had given birth. I mean, you cannot imagine. And it was I was sitting on it. And do you know, I actually, somebody took it and put it in her living room. Oh, she said, I don't care. The mice aren't there anymore. So... Remember when we found the mice in the couch, I said, oh my God, don't ever tell anybody. I mean, this shows what a bad housekeeper I am. I don't think you can get mice nesting in your furniture if you're a good housekeeper.
Well, no, but not if you don't, that would suggest that you never
picked up a cushion.
Vacuum in and about your kitchen, your cushions, etc.
Okay, so some more on the smile front. We've talked about this before. There's something in the Wall Street Journal today that's interesting about smiling. And we had talked, remember, Susan, ages ago, about how if you have Botox, it's harder to smile. Or no, your face freezes. And that when your face freezes, it's harder for you to actually feel empathy. To empathize with somebody, because what we don't realize is if somebody's looking at us and they're sad, our faces tend to mimic them. And when our face gets a sad look on it, that triggers our brain to actually feel the empathy for the other person, right?
Right.
It's the facial expression that triggers the brain to feel a certain way. You would think it'd go the other way. Oh, your brain tells you that's sad, so then you get the face. It turns out it goes the other way. And if your face is frozen with Botox, you don't feel as much as you used to because your face has lost its plasticity. Anyway, more research on smiling shows that the smile, evolutionarily, a person smiles because they feel unthreatened, taking it back to primitive kind of place. And so the muscles involved in a smile, if you're smiling, again, that expression sends a message to your brain that says, we're safe, everything's fine. Immediately, blood pressure goes down, stress levels go down, heart rate goes down. And they found out that if you just walk around smiling, you lower your blood pressure and you lower your stress levels. And you don't even have to be sincere about it. As soon as those muscles get pulled up, it starts to happen.
I mean, I've said this before, but that's the theory behind, like laugh yoga and that if you just sit there and make the sound of laughter, put your mouth in that position and make the sound of laughter, you will in very short order produce in your brain the same endorphins that an actual joy would produce.
Okay. Yeah, and this guy says, it says here, studies have shown that people who use Botox to hide the lines on their face not only feel less empathy, they feel less pleasure in response to subtle things around them. And they also lose their ability to read other people's emotions as well as they did before they started sticking Botox in their face.
Because they are systems that were designed to inform our brains. They've paralyzed them, idiots.
And you know what else? When you see a smile, you see somebody smiling, that actually helps fire the neurons in your brain as if almost you yourself were smiling. And that's called a mirror effect.
Right.
So you see that. And so if this is not a recipe for a better life, smile. Smile, smile, smile. Smile though your heart is breaking. Smile even though you're faking. When there are...
I think it's supposed to be breaking, but faking works in this context.
In the sky you'll get by. There's a smile. Okay, I'll stop. But that is what I leave you with today. A genuine smile can help your heart.
But in a pinch, a fake one can do just as well.
That is correct. That is correct. However, if you smile with your whole face, you crinkle your eyes, all that probably is better. But they found that even just phonily, you know what they call that? There's a name for that. It's called the Pan Am smile.
Right.
It's the smile that, stewardesses used to, oh, hello and welcome. Is that fake smile? But that does it too. So turn that frown upside down. And we got to go. Susan!
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. That'd be my sister. She gone. I'm going too. And tomorrow, Chris Potter will be here. And I suppose we'll get a little more serious. Can only do that so often. But still, contact your senator and representative and tell them to not let this sequester happen. Okay? Be a good citizen and smile. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.